April is tax season, and so talk naturally turns to personal finances. There's a program run by the United Way called Thrive, which helps hundreds of people with financial literacy learning how to budget, pay off debt, and save for a house. A year ago, Stephanie Herring and her husband thought owning a home was an impossible dream. Now they've been pre-qualified for a mortgage. Carolee McGrath sat down with Stephanie as well as Jen Fernandes, a financial success coach, and Jim Ayres, the CEO of United Way, to learn more.
Thrive is a one-stop financial success center, and the key thing about Thrive is it's free to the community. And really the overall goal is to help people become more financially healthy, more financially stable, feel a little bit at ease with their finances because it can be very overwhelming. So people come in, and the things that we do with Thrive entail very thorough budgeting. So what is your income? What are your expenses? What are you left with at the end of the month? How can people save on some of their expenses and then reallocate that money towards other priorities? We work with debt reduction, which is huge.
Right.
I think most of us, have some kind of debt, whether it's credit card debt, student loans, or any kind of loans for that matter. We work with banking. So checking accounts, savings accounts. And I also like to include that a lot of banks do have programs for building your credit as well. We work with credit scores and credit reports, which a lot of people don't want to look at their score or are afraid to. But that sort of really opens up the doors to letting people know what's going on in their financial world as far as in the future getting a house, getting an apartment or a car or whatever that may be. In the tax season, Thrive does free tax preparation during the tax season, which is great, so you don't have to pay to get your taxes done. I do a lot of referrals to resources in the community. Thrive also does confidential screening for benefits such as SNAP, which is food stamps. And we do workforce training opportunities. So Thrive is really, it's a great program, again, free to the community, and we cover all ages. So it could be people in their teens all the way up to, I have some people that are retired as well.
So it's really, it runs the full gamut of looking at your finances, which can be really horrifying, I think, you know, as you're raising a family and you're trying to pay your mortgage. Stephanie, tell us a little bit about your situation.
Well, I found Thrive about a year ago at the farmers market in Westfield, actually. I saw Jen with a nice banner that said, "Do you need help managing your debt? Do you want to buy a house and don't think you can?" Kind of things like that. And I was answering yes and yes and yes. And so I made an appointment, and it was probably one of the best decisions I've made as far as my financial world. I live in Westfield with my husband, and we both work full time, but being the financial housekeeper, if you will, I took care of all of our bills, but we want to buy a house, and we didn't think it was possible a year ago, and that has completely changed because of Thrive.
See, that's amazing to me, because I feel like sometimes you're working, and by the time you get through, and you have two kids, by the time you get through the grocery store, you're like, uh-oh, I have 2 weeks until my next paycheck. How am I possibly going to save? So how are you managing to do that?
Well, the first thing we did was we just wrote down everything, all of my bills.
Which is also horrifying, right? When you write it down and you look at it, you have to deal with reality.
Right, because we had a newborn, so there's formula and diapers, and that adds up quick. And then we have a 5-year-old now. At the time she was 4, but she's in daycare. And the credit cards, I have student loans. We both have car payments. And so we wrote all these things down, and we figured out where we could cut bills. I think that's the biggest thing that people sometimes miss, is you can lower certain bills and kind of transfer money to cards with lower interest rates. That was another thing we did. But we just came up with plans of action, is what we called it, the plans of action that made small accomplishments every month. I meet with Jen once a month, and we go over everything. We redo my budget monthly, because that money is getting reallocated to different places every single month.
I like what you said about the small accomplishments in particular, because sometimes it could just seem so overwhelming. I'm never going to save whatever it is for that down payment for a house. Jim, why is this so important in your mission at United Way?
Well, the work of United Way is really about having strong communities and building strong lives for people, making sure that we all have opportunity in front of us, we're able to feel hopeful, and we have the tools to focus on our future. And United Way is probably best known for the work that we do with people in crisis, which is really the bookend to this work in some ways. In those kinds of services, we're helping people who may be facing homelessness or food insecurity. And in those situations, we want to make sure that no one at the end of the day is going to question, how am I going to put food on the table, where am I going to sleep, or how am I going to stay warm? And so that work is really about providing short-term response to people who find themselves in a crisis. But equally important is thinking about how to give support to people throughout our community so they never have to face that crisis to begin with. And we know that there are tens of thousands of people in Hampden County and the surrounding area who are in a situation where really what we just talked about, where by the time I pay my rent, I pay my car payment, I pay for utilities, there's just not much left over. And that's a really difficult situation, let alone when a furnace breaks down or the car goes down. Suddenly you can find yourself really falling behind in a way that can make your family and yourself very vulnerable.
And you have 4 locations for
We
this?
do. We have 4 Thrive Centers. We have one in Westfield. We have one in Springfield based at STCC, and 2 in Holyoke, actually. One at the Picknelly Adult Education Center downtown, and the other on the main campus of Holyoke Community College. And those are places where, as we've talked about, someone can go to get resources when they're finding themselves challenged. And we find that when they have that support, they do better in their lives, and as a result, our community does better as well.
I have a question for you, my financial advisor. Well, what do you tell people when they come in with a whole stack of bills, a cell phone? I think the cell phone is the killer. I will say that. That's one of the big bills in the family, especially if you have teenagers and 4 of them are on the plan. But do you save a little bit out of every paycheck, or you know what I mean? Like, what do you do first? Like, what are the bills that you prioritize, and do you always save something out of that check and put it into the bank account?
I think it depends on the individual and on the client and how much income they bring in. A lot of people that come to Thrive are low, moderate income clients. So sometimes it's just like they're just making it at the end, or unfortunately some of them are outside of their means. So I think the first thing that we do is I set goals with these clients. And what is that top goal that they really want to work on? And we break it down, as Stephanie will know, into baby steps to tackle that goal. So as far as what I do is I break down their budget, and we go through all the expenses to see what can be reduced. And the cell phone is one of them, and dining out is another one.
Yes. Not that I would know either of those, but yes, on that cell phone. But I think
that's my beginning point. Is we have a financial information sheet that tells their savings and assets, their credit score, and their debt, and then they also have a budget sheet. And once we look at the budget, I can see what it's broken down into categories. So housing, transportation, childcare, and I can see concretely what is it that are their expenses, what can be reduced, especially if they're coming in with such tight budgets. And a lot of them do spend, I've had $400 sometimes on dining out, and we need to reduce that. I don't say deprive yourself of that, but what can we do to reduce some of these expenses so it's not so tight at the end of the month?
Right. So this is a great program. Thank you so much for coming in, and congratulations to you. Keep up that great work and the baby steps. I think it's very inspiring to other people. So many people, who just get frustrated, with what they're bringing in and what they're spending. So this is a great program and a great opportunity. Thank you.